know what you want. You want to see the movie.
It lagged super hard right there.
Yeah, it did. It might be.
Yeah.
How am I sounding?
You sound fine, and I don't know how I sound because
You're sounding good, Brandon.
Okay.
You're the only one. You're the outlier in this one.
Well, but it was just that one time so far.
Yeah.
Nope, I'm relegated to my room, so.
Oh, okay. Did you get Operation Cleanup finished?
Oh no, I'm not cleaning it up.
Super gross. That's super gross.
I don't even know. I don't want to know.
Just a sink full of hair.
Full of downstairs
Full of hair?
Yeah.
What?
Yeah.
Come on.
Nah. I was telling Brandon this. That is strictly a shower shave situation. The only time you should be shaving
That's a shower move.
In the sink is your face. That's it. All other body hair goes in the bathtub, and then you got to get in there and scoop it up. Look, listen. I get rid of all this now, and I got to just scrub it all down afterward. It's a nice...
God, really?
Yeah, dude, look at this.
You must be there all day. Jesus.
What?
Boy.
He's fully embraced the twink.
Yeah, I have. I have fully embraced my
that's got to be
twinkiness.
like time consuming.
Nah, I use
I
this...
don't shave shit.
Shocking.
Much to Megan's chagrin, I don't shave shit but my beard and my head.
I know, I'm like a little dolphin now. I just throw on the Nair, and that's how I got a chemical burn on my nipples once. Is I put too much over that area. Yeah, don't do that. It hurts. But
that wasn't intentional.
No, it was not. It just. Oh God.
I need to start nairing my undercarriage, but I just haven't really.
I don't nair the undercarriage. I trim the undercarriage. What I really need to nair is the back undercarriage, because getting deep in those crevices is a real nightmare.
Oh, I'm talking tip of butt cheek all the way around to like just below my belly button.
Oh,
I just need that smooth as silk.
Need to get rid of that hair diaper.
Yes, I need it to look like I'm wearing whitey tighties of not hair.
Do we all need a good taint shave at this point?
Yes. Well, I know I do. Like getting
Brandon?
peanut butter out of shag carpeting.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
No, I think I'm okay.
Yeah,
you sound so uncertain. You sound so uncertain. If you have seen Brandon's taint, call into the podcast.
Yeah. Everyone who's seen my taint, please call in and let us know what you think.
Our phone number 1-800-TAINT TALK.
Yeah. All right. Well,
welcome back to area between the butthole and the dick.
Yeah, taint talk. We've discussed this. We're turning over a new leaf here.
The show is now called Grundle Talk.
Jesus Christ, you guys.
Good gush.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Ugh.
All right. Well, look.
We did it.
Speaking of pulling peanut butter out of shag carpet, and what an unpleasant experience that probably is.
It is.
Listen, guys. Did you guys hear that?
Kitty! Kitty!
Tomas, I'm trying to do
Wants
a
to be
cold
on
open.
the show.
Oh, Jesus.
Wants to be on the show.
Jiminy Christmas. All right, look. I just for once in my life wanted to watch a movie that made me stab my eyes out, turn my hair white, or send me spiraling into unfathomable madness. Is that too much to ask for, guys? Because, look, watching this movie, it did none of that for me, and it was hugely disappointing. So, welcome back to the real obscure... You fucking asshole. Go ahead.
No, I was just saying this is. I would imagine that this was the closest you came to stabbing your eyes out, though.
No, it's the closest I came from physically dying of boredom.
Okay, that's fair.
Okay, all right. Well, great. Great. We're very professional. Anyway, Welcome back to the Real Obscure Podcast. I'm Anthony, apparently wasting my fucking life Trevino, and with me as always, as we descend further into the hell of Extreme-O-Ween, are my fellow sloppy swine.
Brandon talking pie freeze.
What are you having a problem with here tonight, Brandon?
No problems. Everything's groovy.
Well,
Yeah.
all right, you groovy Gus.
Groovy Gus. I'm Nick Prog Rock.
Cool. What's your
I'd
concept
give
album?
that, I'd give that a C+.
C plus. Hey. Like my parents always said, C's get degrees, son.
And you still didn't get one.
Nope. Got a diploma.
Man, this is a real fuck you episode.
Well, that's
Yeah,
what this whole
right?
movie is. Because tonight we're sitting down to talk about Adam Mason's film, Pig. Before we get started, does anybody have anything they want to say before I jump into my spiel?
No, go for it. I promise not to interrupt this time.
So before we get into the film itself, let's talk a little bit about UK filmmaker and screenwriter Adam Mason. Mason graduated from the London International Film School in 1999, and from there went on to direct countless music videos until moving to Los Angeles in the mid-2000s. And I looked at it, this dude has a pretty stacked resume of music videos. He's done stuff for Black Audio, AFI, Korn, Brandon's favorite band, the Murder Dolls.
That's right.
What was their one song
There
that was like really popular?
Holly,
Nick.
Yeah, they had one.
please.
What was it? Hollywood what?
Brandon, go ahead. You're the Murder Dolls expert.
That the single off of that album is "Dead in Hollywood." Off of the album,
Dead in Hollywood.
off of the album "Beyond the Valley of the Murder Dolls," which is the musical equivalent to this movie.
Boo-doo-doo-doo. Do-do-do-do. Do-do-do-do-do-do. Yeah, Brandon, come on.
I'm first.
God, that album sucks.
Oh boy.
This guy has a film degree, huh?
Oh, trust me, strap in. It gets better.
Okay.
And the reason I'm giving you this extensive background is I do think it's important to point out that Adam Mason he's no slouch. He works hard and he works steady. To name a few more things, he's directed Broken, The Devil's Chair, video shorts for Alice in Chains, and most recently he's been working with Korn on a narrative podcast called The Nothing, which coincides with their album from last year of the same name. I'll never listen to it because who wants to listen to Korn in 2020? But he's also done 2 installments of the Into the Dark anthology series on Hulu. Both installments are called I'm Just Fucking With You and They Come Knocking, which, by the way, side tangent, just so you guys know, these are pretty much full-on movies. These aren't...
They're full movies.
They're
Have
full
you
movies.
seen any of them?
I actually watched I'm Just Fucking With You before we recorded.
Was it any good? I was wondering which episodes he did. Because I watched Puka, and there was another one I watched, I don't remember. But I've been wanting to watch those, because they are full movies.
So I really liked I'm Just Fucking With You.
Okay.
And I don't know if Brandon will like it. Brandon might be somewhere in between us, but actually I think Nick would really enjoy it.
Okay. I might have to check that out then. I was disappointed with Puka. I
Really?
thought the advertising campaign for that movie was on point. Like, it had that weird face with the glowy eyes, and I was fucking into it. And then I watched it, and it feels like it wants to be a Child's Play movie, and then it just kind of turns into Donnie Darko out of nowhere. And I'm like, this isn't...
That sucks because the
guys-
synopsis sounds cool.
Right. It seemed, going into it, it looked like it had a lot of stuff going for it, and then watching it, it was just... I was very disappointed.
I bring all this up because watching this movie is an endurance test, but not the introspective endurance test.
Mm-mm.
However, I think it's important to point out that Mason's not out there churning out August Underground level bullshit like a lot of the more extreme filmmakers or the people from our age group who we kind of grew up in the age of have digital cameras were more accessible to us, so anyone could make a movie. Brandon, your experience with going to film school is a little bit different than ours. Nick and I went to Grossmont College, but you had a legitimate film department at where you went to school. Were there any filmmakers on campus that were younger and kind of like, yeah, it's all just about the gore, bro?
Not really that. More than, because for people who don't know, I went to film school in Kansas because I am so smart. It was more people going because it was an easy degree.
Which you find, I think all three of us found, we went because we love film, but so many other people in the classes just went because it's an easy A, I think, for some people.
Mm-hmm.
Wasn't one of your teachers the guy that directed Confederate States of America?
Yeah, Kevin Wilmot.
Yeah, I kind of want to do that on this podcast. I don't know if you guys have seen that movie,
Mm-hmm.
but I like that. I think it's pretty fucking funny. I mean, I don't know if it would go great today, but it's definitely a unique movie.
Yeah.
Brandon, does he screen his own movie for the class, Imami style?
No, no, he doesn't do that. No,
I already I was about to say he has more class than that.
Yeah. Also, he's a co-writer on Black Klansman.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
All right.
Won an Oscar
Very
for
cool. He won an Oscar?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, fucking kudos,
Yeah.
dude. Who I'm sure listens to this.
Yeah. Hey, Kevin, Kevy Wilmot, if you're listening,
Big
good
K.
job.
Yeah. Big pat on the back, bro.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about the film. It's like the background of the movie itself. It was made for $3,000. It's all shot in theoretically one take, although I'd argue that I thought there were some sneaky edits thrown in there. And its original release was a one-night only streaming event back in 2010 on Brandon's favorite website, Bloody Disgusting.
The new metal of websites.
I've read some Bloody Disgusting articles in the last few days, let me tell you. I got some notes.
Even in the height of my gorehound edginess, bloodydisgusting.com was a stupid website.
Well, there, we said it. We've said it. We've all come for Bloody Disgusting, so we can't host on their site anymore, I guess.
We have trashed Bloody Disgusting. We've trashed what was the other one that had the He Who Shall Not Be Named show, Dread Central.
Yeah.
We're really doing ourselves some favors here.
We're burning all the bridges.
Woo!
Who cares at this point? You're gonna have bad articles out there the longer you do it. It's whatever. But because of this, Pig has kind of become mythologized in the horror community. It showed up for one night, it disappeared, and then at South by Southwest 2017, it had two showings, one on a Friday night and one on a Saturday night, and then vanished. Kinda. Because, boys, this is the age of the internet, and once you put something out there once, you should just assume it exists forever. Now, before we get into it, I think it'll be helpful if we have some idea what Mason was going for with the film and how he feels about it today. I have two quotes. One is from Mason in an interview he did with Jerry Smith of Dread Central this year. Mason states, "I actually forgot about Pig, but more often than you'd expect, it comes up. My blood runs cold and I feel an incredible amount of disconnect with that film. I feel a sense of shame when I think of Pig. It's weird because I made it, but I'm extremely relieved that it's not widely available. That was one of the smartest decisions I ever made, along with Andrew Howard, the actor." So, was this a good decision? What do you guys think about that quote?
Oh, don't make me sympathize with this guy because I hated this movie so much.
Well, that's one of the things I was going to comment on. No, go ahead. Sorry.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad he's ashamed of it. I'm glad he's able to see, oh yeah, this was bad, and don't want people to see it, and I'm glad people have kind of more or less forgotten about it.
That was kind of one of the things I was going to comment on when you were going through his filmography and everything and listing the stuff he'd done and saying that his episode of Into the Dark was pretty good. I figured it was one of two things when he said, I'm not going to screen this anymore, I'm done with it. It was either he was trying to build up the mystique around it and be like, oh, it's too dangerous to be out there. Or he was going, this is garbage. I did an experimental thing. I was just seeing if it'd work, and it fucking didn't, and just get it out of here. I knew it was one of those two things. I just didn't know how big of a douchebag this guy was, but now it kind of sounds like he took a risk, he rolled the dice, he tried something different, and it fucking did not work on any level, and he's just like, okay, that was a failed experiment, essentially.
I don't think he's a douchebag, but I do think that, you know what, I'm going to save it for the end. I want to rile you boys up a little bit with this final quote I pulled from bloody, disgusting, chainsaw noise. And I don't know who said this because it's not given any credit to anyone. It's just a quote. So I'm assuming it's from a review, or the guy at Dread Central just thought he had something so profoundly written to say about Pig that he dropped it in there and didn't quote that to say, hey, I wrote this. From an unknown critic. A savage satire of gender politics in America, Adam Mason is guaranteed to shock and offend with Pig, created with actor and longtime collaborator Andrew Howard. Pig is a virtuoso piece of pure cinema, with the vast majority of the film shot in a single, excruciating take. Less a narrative than a slice of madness, Pig pushes gender roles out to wild, lunatic extremes, boasting a powerhouse performance from Howard in front of the camera and technically dazzling work from Mason behind it. Pig creates a truly uncomfortable sense of intimacy and has never been more relevant than in the chaotic time we live in now. End monologue. So oink, 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 hillbilly squeal, guys. Let's get into this stupid shit.
I got opinions. Opinions.
Quick question. When do you know when that review was posted?
I don't know when that particular quote that he put in his article was posted, but that was a part of Dread Central announcing that South by Southwest was screening it for their 2017 Midnight Movies.
Okay. All right.
3 years ago, if not more.
Well, I did. Nick is chomping at the bit to get at it, but I will say I disagree with everything in that review.
Yes.
As do I.
Them even implying that it was mostly one take. That's why I didn't mean to interrupt you earlier. I gotta fucking burr up my ass about that, because it gives the illusion of one take, and not even well. Because the parts where it cuts, it like zooms in on the cooler lid, and then it goes like that, and then it comes back, and it's like you can see the cut clearly, and that happens a bunch, and it's like, bro, you're either doing it all in one take and you're going full experimental, or you're not. And if you're not, then why are you giving the illusion that it's one take? And if you're gonna give the illusion, do it right. I was so infuriated by this aspect of it, because it's you either do it or you don't. And if you don't, and you're going to make it look that way, at least do it well. You got a film degree, bro. And you're going to fucking edit like that? It just, oh man. That aspect of it infuriated me.
Let me sum up this entire movie, how it plays. Redneck guy has people captured by his trailer. He tortures them. He has a sister or a fiance or a girlfriend or someone there who is mentally deficient and very pregnant. He keeps torturing people It ends with him driving away. Turns out he's British and he's going to see his family again. That's the movie. And there is absolutely zero substance to this movie. This movie is everything that's wrong with horror. This is everybody who doesn't like horror, their preconceived notions of what horror is. This is what they think it is.
Mr. Freeze, excuse me. Yeah, hi. Anthony Chainsaw T from the Gore Gazette here. I just wanted to point out that you forgot one pivotal part of the film Pig, which is he's very, very particular about washing his scalp in between murders.
Oh yeah, he constantly rubs and washes his scalp because he's crazy. And then that's the whole movie.
Rubs himself so fucking much in this movie. Like, every scene with him, he is rubbing himself in some way.
This movie is so incoherent that I struggled to pay attention to an hour-and-a-half film.
Oh, I just didn't.
And this movie doesn't even need to be an hour and a half. If you're going for the extreme POV of a crazy person and taking a deep dive into depravity, that's a 20-minute short film at best. And it's a 20-minute short film that at least does something. Sets it up, gives you any inclination of the characters. You can explore these horrible topics, but not in this way.
I'll disagree with that only a little bit, because I do think that there are point of view psycho films that delve into that mentality that do it right. Like something like
that's what I just said.
Well, you said it's a 20-minute thing at best. I think you can do it in a full-length format and be successful with it.
But let me walk that back a minute, because you're saying that you can do it and you do it well, but it's those films you're talking about. I'm assuming you're talking about something like Man Bites Dog.
Or yeah, that was one I was going to mention. Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer. I think
they're
does
still
it really well,
competently made.
Yeah.
But my point was, if it's just going to be extreme violence, no one's going to sit through this hour-and-a-half endurance test with nothing to go off of.
No, I agree completely.
So I feel like we're kind of saying the same thing, but arriving at it from a different road.
Right. And I think Brandon said something really interesting in the chat that I'd like him to kind of say here or elaborate on here, was when you were talking about Man Behind the Sun being grueling and intense, but it made you feel something. And this is arguably as grueling and intense, but it makes you feel nothing. And I think that is an important thing to talk about.
Yeah, I mean, Men Behind the Sun has historical significance, and these are things that actually happen to people, and the director goes through the effort to make you feel that, to show you why you're seeing these horrible things. Whereas this is just a hollow, like, yep, he's a crazy guy, and these are his victims, and now he's going to hit this guy in the face with rocks for a while, and now this guy gets shot, and that's it. He's just a guy. Nothing. It boils down to substance versus just hollow nothing.
I think this movie, some of the issues with it are because it was totally unscripted and improv. They should have just shot this film with a group from UCB, and they could have just yes-anded their way through the entire thing, and I guarantee it would have been better. And at least kind of funny. Yeah,
I think...
No, go ahead. I'm interrupting even when I'm muted. Go ahead.
This is like Anthony said, this is a movie that didn't need to be longer than 10 or 20 minutes. If it was going to be made, there's no reason this should have been a feature length. And this movie and movies like it, like the Human Centipedes, the movies like that, really make me angry because I all three of us love horror movies, and when horror is boiled down to its most superficial, and people are like, yeah, this is a brutal horror movie, it's a bummer because there's just so much in the genre that is so good and so interesting and so and genuinely like engaging, that when people just latch on to the edgelordiness, it's just such a bummer.
And it's uninteresting.
I agree with.
There's nothing of value to latch onto here, especially considering the runtime. When you look at a movie like Martyrs or Inside, any of the what they call the new French extremity of films, sure, they're hard movies to watch. But I think there's a value to some of those films that something like this lacks. And Mason noted in that Dread Central interview that he was, really into those movies at the time, and he was trying to kind of do something similar, but it doesn't work. And it doesn't work for so many reasons. One being, the improvisation is terrible. As Brandon said, it boils it down to its most superficial version of what people think horror is. This is what outside people who aren't into horror think horror is.
I agree with that. I think an interesting thing about it is it has no redeeming qualities. The thing you said about the UCB and being funny, the guy made me laugh a couple of times. There were a few lines that I fucking laughed at, like the he's cooking and he says "au jus," and the mentally deficient wife, girlfriend, sister says "a jus," and he goes, "No, au jus. That's fucking gravy in France." And for some reason, the way he delivered that line cracked me the fuck up.
I bet this would have been better done by UCB, Troop, Murder Fist. Any of those sketch comedy groups would have done a better job.
Murder Fist would have knocked this out of the park. Put Ed Larson in that fucking main role, and I think you would have had a better movie. But I don't think the main guy's performance is bad. It's just, there's not enough for him to do. Like, I think that there are points where throughout the movie I'm like, oh, he's not a bad actor. It's just nobody knows what this fucking movie is. Except I would say that an interesting aspect of it is that this guy, I do feel like Mason had a point behind the movie. I think he had something he was trying to say. I think he was trying to say something with it. It just failed spectacularly.
Yeah, there was the movie kind of opens and closes with a radio, like a talk radio show, and it seems like this super misogynistic, kind of like he's kind of a SoCal local guy, but a Tom Likas kind of guy, a real piece of shit misogynist type guy. And that part felt like he was trying to say something, but it doesn't really tie into anything else. So it's like, well, I see you're trying to say something, but there's nothing in the movie that would add on to what I think this means. So I don't know what you're trying to get across there. And also when you were talking about his acting, a lot of it felt like he was like they got to the location in the morning and they're like, okay, here are the beats we need to hit, and the actor was tasked with filling all of those gaps himself, because at parts it just felt like he was like, okay, I'm crazy guy, and then he just kind of like stands there and like, oh, I don't know, I guess I'll pour myself a cup of wine,
Drinks a couple glasses of wine.
Yeah, he like part of there's so much wasted time and nothing time in this movie. We see him pour in real time. We see him pour and enjoy 2 glasses of wine, and it's just like, why?
It's just what we're doing.
Yeah, it's just non It's non-space in the movie that doesn't need to be there.
It's like being stuck inside the hillbilly section of a haunted trail or a scream zone with a bunch of haunted house actors that their sole goal is to just act crazy, act crazy. He just says crazy messed up stuff. She mumbles and makes noise like she doesn't have a tongue in her mouth. Then they say super fucked up stuff to the guy, and they make him eat that fucking pine cone. And that's it. That's all there is. There is nothing deep about gender politics or the lengths human depravity can go to satisfy whatever kind of urges somebody who's maybe psychopathic could have. It's, as Brandon said, it just exists in non-space. This is a movie full of nothing of value.
It feels like he went out with like a thesis, like with the Tom Likas radio guy, and that kind of plays throughout it in the background. You can catch little bits on his radio.
If you can hear
And
over the
even
shit
in the-
quality audio.
Right. And even with like the title Pig, and it's like, well, he bleeds these women like pigs, so are they the pig? Is he the pig for the things he's doing? Like, I think that he had an idea, like a thesis that he wanted to say about male chauvinism and things like that. And then it's like they got there the day of and went, oh, fuck, we didn't do that. Like, we had this idea and then we just didn't explain the idea at all. Like, I feel like he had a concept and then just, like, forgot to do that concept when they actually went to record.
I totally had something to say, but I forgot about it. I forgot what I was going to say. So
Zoom calls is just a Mexican standoff to see who talks first.
Right. We need to come up with a system with like auctioneer paddles or something. Like,
No, like
point
how
will
about
be made when you're done. Not interrupting, but when you're done.
how about I just send the open mouth symbol to say I'm going to talk now.
Okay. Yeah.
But I all right, moving on. That's the movie. Le film absolute du monde. This is not, people. I
No.
think there's something interesting, and part of the reason we started this podcast when I first talked to Brandon and before we brought Nick on board was that we wanted to kind of watch movies that have weird stories behind them or have been banned for whatever reason. And for the most part, we didn't really get to it until now, 20-something episodes in, because we realized we just want to talk about weird movies or movies that not many people have heard of. Or that have kind of a strange backstory to them. But this is a great example of a film that's kind of been mythologized and talked about, but there's nothing to it. You hear about that creaky old scary house at the end of the street. You go, you open the door, and you think, huh, it's just abandoned. All right, well, my imagination filling in the blanks for what this could have been was much more interesting than what it ended up being. And I think Mason was right to shelve this movie and say, fuck it, I don't want anything to do with this movie. That said, Nick has some explaining to do, because Nick liked the ending of the movie.
I didn't.
Oh, okay.
I was just fucking with you guys. No, it's garbage. It's hot garbage.
Okay, you're trolling me.
Yeah, I was trolling both of you because I remember Brandon messaged the group. He's like, fuck this ending. This ending fucking sucks. Fuck you. And then as soon as it came up, I'm like, oh, yeah, definitely fuck this ending. But I'm not going to tell him that. I'm going to say it was brilliant. Because it's such a cop-out. It's like, oh, we're all the pig. It's like, fuck you, man. Like,
I
no.
don't want to say that I'm all about Eli Roth movies, but Hostel 2 actually does that a little bit better. We've spent a good amount of time shitting on this movie, rightly so. Was there any redeemable qualities to it, Nick?
I think the main guy's performance isn't bad. Like, I don't think he's a bad actor. I think that he was given something like a concept and told, fucking go with it. He's not a bad actor. He's just not a great improver. because it seems like he doesn't know what to do. And in his defense, they didn't tell him what to fucking do. It was basically just be crazy. As far as redeeming qualities, again, his performance was not the worst. I think he has talent. He made me laugh a couple times. Outside of that, I think it exists. It's good as an example of how a film can go wrong by talent, presumably a talented director. And again, he had an idea, he had a concept, he had a thesis, he had something he wanted to say, but it just fell flat. It was like he forgot to do the movie.
We're throwing the term film around real loosely. Brandon, same question to you.
Let's just call it the experiment. Let's see how the experiment went.
I would say no. Before you told us that information about the director pretty much disowning it and being embarrassed by it, I was ready to say fuck this director, fuck everyone involved, because I really truly hated this movie. But knowing that the director's like, yeah, that was a mistake, it was stupid, I don't want people to see it, not because it's too brutal and extreme, but because it just sucks. That endears me to him, and hearing that he's gone on to better things and kind of moved on and grown and made something better, then great, good on him. That's great. If my opinion would be much harsher if he was like, if this was his baby and this was like he was still saying like, yeah, I don't want people to see this, it's just too dangerous.
If Pink were his vanity project?
Yeah, I did. That would make me hate this so much more. But
right.
I'm on a pretty comfortable base coat of hating it. And even the actor went on to play Red Scare in the new Watchmen series. So he went on to do better things, and good on him. But fuck this movie. It's not banned. It's not quote unquote banned. It's just bad. That's a trick that we've all fallen into, where we're out movie shopping and we see a DVD that says banned in X amount of countries, and you're like, oh shit, I gotta see this. And it's always terrible.
It's always so boring.
Yeah.
It's always boring, and it's not that it's banned, it's just people don't want to watch it. And that's just the horror shortcut to bad movie, but we gotta make money on this somehow.
I think what you said about him, that endearing him to you a little bit, him kind of disowning it, and I just wanted to comment, I think one of the things that endears him to me, at least, or maybe not even endears, but kind of forgives this, is, again, it feels like it was an experimental thing he did. Like, he went out there and he tried it. Maybe I would be surprised if they didn't film this over a weekend. And he just got a few people and they kind of went out and said, we're going to try this thing. And it just failed. And I give him credit, for going out and trying something. He was doing an experimental film and it just sucked. Like, to the point that he disowned it. At least he has the good sense to disown it. But I don't feel like he did. It's not his baby. He didn't go into it going, we're going to rock the world with this. He had a weekend with a few people and went, let's fucking try something. And it just failed.
It failed miserably, and I question whether or not the people, even some of the film programmers at South by Southwest who've screened it, why are you going to waste people's time? If I went to a Midnight Madness and this was what they screened, I'd fucking walk out just as much as I wanted to walk out of that awful Crispin Glover double feature that Brandon and I sat through.
That's a trap, bro.
It's a waste.
You walk out of that, and then they go, oh, people walked out of the screenings, man. Like, they just left. You're giving them what they want, man.
I know, but my ass hurts in those seats, and it doesn't have time for this nonsense. the only redeeming thing for me with the film was the one thing Nick hated the most. The soundtrack sounds like a B-sides to a Primus album. Like unfinished Primus music.
I was thinking Primus music the whole time. I was thinking Primus.
Yeah. It just sounds like bad Primus bootlegs.
And it's not that I didn't like the music itself. I think it bothered me because I think this movie would have benefited from no score because it would have made it feel more realistic. The music felt almost like it cheapened it. Because then this hard stuff was happening. Like, stuff that you should feel something about, like Brandon was saying, not feeling anything, fucking blowing the guy's brain out and shoving a screwdriver up his ass for reasons, and then bringing him back to the trailer park. That should be, like, grueling, like Last House on the Left. That should be rough, but then behind it you got and it's like, well, now I don't feel anything. Now that cheapens it to me.
Hey, Men Behind the Sun had a jaunty tune playing while that guy tried to escape and got electrocuted by the fence.
Yeah,
I'm just saying.
The Men Behind the Sun shuffle.
We didn't even talk about that really, but Men Behind the Sun did have kind of an upbeat score at points, and like when the kids are talking to the mute Chinese boy and they're throwing the ball and everything, it felt like a Disney movie score behind it, and I'm like, oh, that's weird. I'd rather you not do that.
And with the music in Pig, there wasn't any like transitions or fade-ins. It was just like they dropped a song right onto the audio track. It starts and it stops. There's no fade-ins, there's no transitions, and it's just so clunky.
Who's in the hot seat tonight?
I was wondering that myself, because technically it would be your pick, but we kind of unanimously came to this, right? It was just kind of, we all agreed to it. We're all fuckers.
We all said, yeah, that sounds fucked up enough.
This'll be...
Go ahead.
It's not even worth repeating. This'll be extreme.
Yeah, honestly, I might be willing to take most of the responsibility because I'm the one that found it. Like, I looked online and I found somewhere to stream it, and
you gave my computer malware.
Oh yeah, we're all fucked in the computer department now. I do not trust that website at all. But I think that the reason that I suggested it and kind of pushed for it, I don't even know if push for it's right, but I liked that story of him disowning it, and I wanted to talk about that, and I didn't know what his motivations were behind it. Knowing them now, yeah, I get he earned back some good faith with me, but I think that was the main reason I wanted to talk about it, was because of that aspect of it. It's very rare that a director disowns their movies so extremely. And I was kind of interested in seeing it because I didn't know how much of a not movie it was.
And I do like that the director is not only does he kind of disown it and kind of purposefully keeps it under wraps, but he also seems kind of embarrassed by it, which is like, yeah, that's the right reaction to have to this.
That's the right fucking feeling for it.
Last question. Well, I guess it's not even a question. Final thoughts, and what more extreme type of film would you recommend that actually gets its point across? Nick.
Final thoughts. I think I wouldn't recommend it to anybody. I don't think there's any. It's what you guys said. The cardinal sin of movies. It's boring as fuck. Like, nothing happens. And yeah, there's extreme shit and cannibalism and fucking torture and all that shit. Not that makes a movie good, but it should make you feel something, like Brandon said about Men Behind the Sun. And I was just fucking dead this whole movie. Nothing. I didn't care about any of the characters. Nothing endeared me to any of them. I wanted that pregnant woman to get beaten to death. She was just so obnoxious through the whole thing. There's no redeeming qualities here. Again, they tried some and it didn't work, and I give them credit for trying it, but no, it's not worth anyone's time. And yeah, as far as final thoughts, that's what I would go with. As far as movies that have similar themes that are better, I think you hit the nail with Man Bites Dog and Henry, Portrait of a Serial Killer, or even Poughkeepsie Tapes. Not that this is a found footage movie, but it kind of has that feel to it. If you're looking for like an examination of crazy in a hardcore way, I think Henry would probably be the closest to this that's actually good. But I would also say something like Poughkeepsie Tapes or Man Bites Dog.
Brandon.
Final thoughts. Yeah, don't watch it. It's not worth it. It falls. It seems like it kind of retroactively tried to use the old 50s William Castle. This movie will give you a heart attack, but and they kind of have this mythos built around it, like the director doesn't want anyone to see this movie. But no, it's just bad. It's bad. The director's embarrassed by it. There's nothing there. The violence isn't even, like, the effects aren't even that great. It all just seems like they poured blood on stuff and they're like, yeah, that's it. Yeah, it's a bad movie. It's a bad movie. It makes the genre look bad. I'd say I'm definitely interested in checking out this guy's other stuff, but this movie is a huge waste of time, and don't watch it. And an extreme horror movie that I would suggest would be Inside, which is kind of an interesting French home invasion movie with a pregnant woman. That's pretty harrowing.
All right, I'll close this out. Thanks, Brandon, for stealing my pick. Don't believe the hype and the mythology that's been built up around this movie. I know, like everyone, I'm a sucker for, oh, you won't believe what happens in this movie. It's been banned. Like Brandon said, the directors want you to see it. It's too extreme. And my brain goes, oh, I'm going to watch that. Because I'm the type of guy that sees a sign on the door that says, do not enter. And I'm like, well, I'm clearly going in here now. It doesn't live up to the mythology or the hype that's been built up around this film. It's extreme because it's stupid. And I hate to keep repeating what Brandon already said, but it is the lowest common denominator of horror. I would even say it's like gutter horror. It is the crust punk of horror, this movie. There's nothing redeemable about it. You're wasting your time. It's an hour and a fucking half. No one needs to spend any time watching this film. And it should just get lost to time or tossed in a landfill. So don't watch it. You don't need to. We watched it for you. And now I have to pick a movie right off the cuff. I've been wanting to talk about Inside all night. You asshole. I think what I'll recommend as far as a extreme film, I'll recommend two. I'll recommend High Tension, which I think does a great job of building tension and playing on the idea of a cat and mouse game between a young woman and a serial killer. Even though I think the twist is kind of bullshit, I do think the build-up to that moment is still pretty good, and it's a well-shot film. The second movie I'll recommend, and this might come as a surprise, but it was profoundly effective on me, is Martyrs. If you haven't seen Martyrs, the less you know about it, the better. Just strap in and be prepared. Third recommendation for more extreme movies, watch Necromantic. I found out I love that movie.
Don't watch Necromantic.
I thought you hated Martyrs. I remember saying that you did not like that movie. So I'm genuinely surprised.
I've turned around on it. It's effective. It's well shot. It is an endurance test. I still feel bad for making my girlfriend at the time sit with me and watch it. That's me being an asshole. But it wasn't like, you gotta watch this fucking thing. You know, I
You
didn't
did
like
Lubuco technique her and make her watch it.
No, it was just, hey, this was my pick for movie night. And about 30 minutes in, I looked over and said, you know what, I'm sorry. But I think a film like that, or like Brandon said, Inside, they have more merit to them than this one. Do yourself a favor. Don't watch Pig.
Under any circumstances. There's no reason.
Even under duress.
Yeah.
You'd be better off just eating the bullet. If somebody's standing there saying, watch Pig. Nah, man, you're gonna have to fucking shoot me if you're gonna make me sit through this movie again.
You could just kill me now. That's fine.
It's a better way to spend your time.
Yep.
Oh boy, is it.
Dead.
All right, well that ends one of the shortest in Real Obscure History episodes. So thank you for spending your time with us while we try to suss out this nonsense bullshit movie. I've been Anthony Trevino, and you can find me on Instagram at Pretty Little Garbage Pail. And don't forget, the E in pretty is a 3.
Aw.
Uh-huh. How 7 of you? Brandon, you go after him.
I am Brandon Talking Pie Freeze, and I'm on Instagram as Brandon_Freeze.
Okay. I was Nick Prog Rock. You can find me on Instagram at Nick Rock Lobster. You can also find the show on there at The Real Obscure Podcast.
We also have a podcast Instagram at is it at The Real Obscure Podcast, or is it just at Real Obscure Podcast?
It's The Real Obscure Podcast.
We're very, 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 very professional.
Yes.
Yep. Here's my business card.
Ooh, thank you. All right, that's it.
Wait, next week we are doing Begotten.
Woo! I'm actually terrified.
I thought we were keeping these episodes a secret.
Oh,
Well, we were, but we're not because we didn't know last week. But this week we know. So
because we're not consistent. We're just 3 idiots that talk over each other. Great. No wonder
our shtick.
Our only listener base is one of our long-term mutual friends and Nick's mom.
Yep.
All right.
Hello, Mrs. Rock. Hello, Andy.
Hi, Andy. Shout out to Andy. All right, let's wrap this nonsense off. Good night. Wrap it off.
Night.
Wrap it off.
What the hell does that mean?